Hey there, creative. Today we are going to be creating a very simple geometric Christmas card. You will need watercolor paints, paper, a paintbrush, washi tape or masking tape, as well as a brush pen to write a greeting and a monoline pen if you want to add an outline to some of your elements. So first I'm going to start by deciding where I want my greeting to be, and I'm using a ruler to help me mark the space where I will put down the tape. So I'm using this tape to create a white strip near the bottom of the card so that I can write my greeting inside of it. So once I've finished deciding where it will go, I then use my washi tape to mask out that area. Then I'm using the same tape that I've cut into thinner strips to place it around the paper to create my abstract geometric pattern. So you can place these strips of tape in a random pattern, or you can be a little more precise and plan the pattern that you want ahead of time and use a ruler to help you create something more symmetrical or evenly spaced if you'd like. But I want mine to be very abstract and random. Once you've placed your tape onto your paper, we can then start adding colors. So I'm using red and green, and I'm going to paint them in alternating sections, and this will just make everything look a little bit more interesting. So just start at any place, and once I've finished with it, I then look at the spaces around it and try to avoid any that are directly against the color that I've added. So this next square that I've gone and started to add color into is across from my first section, but it's not next to it. So I'm not going to worry about it being that close. So when you're finished adding your first color, you can then clean your brush, and I'm going to go back in with my green, and I'm then going to start adding it at areas that are in between two red spaces. I will also be leaving some spaces behind so that I can add a pattern. So as I'm adding this green, I'm paying attention so that I don't leave two white spaces next to each other. When I'm finished adding in my second color, I will then move on to painting my patterns in the remaining spaces. So I'm using a little bit of that same red, and I'm drawing some circles to create some berries because I'm going to fill this with a loose holly and berry pattern, but you can any type of pattern that you want. Some other fun holiday ones that you can try are dots, stripes, Christmas lights, candy canes, stuff like that that you can draw very loosely. Then I'm going to use some green to add some very loose holly leaves to these sections as well. To finish this watercolor background, I'm using a monoline pen and I'm just drawing some very loose circle outlines for the berries and curved lines for the holly leaves. When you're finished adding your abstract lines, you can allow the background to dry completely before you then remove your tape. The card is almost finished right now. We just have to add our greeting. So I'm using a pencil to lightly sketch in happy holidays. When I was finished sketching out my greeting, I used a small black brush pen to write in my greeting. And I did make a little bit of a mistake when I sketched this out because I didn't use a piece of scrap paper before. So I ended up with my phrase being a little bit off center. But once you plan your greeting ahead of time, you can ensure that your spacing is okay and your card will turn out okay as well. So once your greeting is in, that is it for your card. Thanks so much for joining me for this tutorial. I hope you have a happy holiday season and I will see you next month for a brand new tutorial.